Hey, what's up? This is Trent Goodbody, partially woke. Uh, in this video, please allow me to reveal something to you that I find rather interesting about the Constitution. Stay with me here for a little bit. I promise it'll be worth it. And I'm going to give away this book to one lucky person who answers a question. So watch to the end of the video to find out what the question is. And then leave the comment and be first, and I'll send you this book plus a few extra free goodies coming up in this video today. Have you heard of a guy named Noah Webster? Well, there's a lot of confusion between Noah and Daniel Webster, but there was no relationship between them. Daniel Webster is best known as a lawyer, a member of Congress, a Secretary of State, and perhaps the greatest orator of the first half of the 19th century in some people's opinion. Noah Webster's fame is quite different. It rests on his pen. Do you know why Noah Webster spent more than 25 years writing and publishing his dictionary? Well, Noah realized that England and the New America had different forms of government, institutions, customs, and laws. Because of this, he believed that they needed different vocabulary. He also knew that science and technology were developing rapidly, and new words were being introduced just as quickly. So he spent over 25 years researching words and their origins and writing the first American dictionary. This dictionary helped Americans to feel pride in their new country and enabled everyone across the new nation to have a standard vocabulary. Webster's greatest achievement was the dictionary. In 1800, he published his intentions of writing a dictionary. He published a short and concise but comprehensive version in 1806. The final version was finished in 1825 and published in 1828. It contained 70,000 words. It is no exaggeration to say that it was immediately accepted as the greatest dictionary of the English language on both sides of the Atlantic. Why would he dedicate so much time to this mundane-sounding undertaking? Can you imagine writing a dictionary for 25 years? I can't imagine it would pay very much. Defining 70,000 words? Man. Well, contrary to popular opinion, he did not write it so that the people could check their spelling. He wrote it in an attempt to prevent the government from changing the meanings of the words in the Constitution. In fact, if you look at the very front of the 1828 Noah Webster's dictionary on page 11, you'll find an eloquent and delightful to read passage from Noah himself explaining why he wrote his dictionary, which I will quote now. Take note of how many times America is used and how many times the United States is not used. This country must, in some future time, as she is already by the liberality of her civil and ecclesiastical constitutions. Europe is grown old in folly, corruption, and tyranny. In that country, laws are perverted, manners are licentious, literature is declining, and human nature debased. For America in her infancy to adopt the present maxims of the old world would be to stamp the wrinkles of decrepit age upon the bloom of youth, and to plant the seeds of decay in a vigorous constitution. American glory begins to dawn at a favorable period and under flattering circumstances. We have the experience of the whole world before our eyes, but to receive indiscriminately the maxims of government, our systems in America must soon convince us that a durable and stately edifice can never be erected upon the moldering pillars of antiquity. It is the business of Americans to select the wisdom of all nations as the basis of her constitution, to avoid their errors, to prevent the introduction of foreign vices and corruption, and check the career of her own, to promote virtue and patriotism, to embellish and improve the sciences, to diffuse a uniformity and a purity of language, to add superior dignity to this infant empire and to human nature. Noah Webster's 1828 Dictionary, page 11. So it seems that we have been transformed from an infant empire to an empire of infants who need a nanny. Essentially, what Noah is beautifully expressing above is that the old world that the colonists escaped from was full of corruption and tyranny, as our country currently is again today. He goes on to say that the laws in Europe are unacceptable because of how perverted they have become and how long-standing law and traditions are not being honored. People are being dumbed down and not reading as much as they should, and human nature in general has been debased or destabilized all by design. The worst thing to happen to the fledgling America would be to let the corruption and tyranny sprout and grow here at home. Everyone back then knew how bad the problems were. However, time has a way of making us forget, doesn't it? So then what important message does this evidence? I believe the moral to the story here is that the meanings of words are vitally important. The meanings of words have been altered. Because of this, we should always define the terms we use if needed and as needed to clarify and rectify the deception that we have been subjected to. I have a suspicion that the de jure government of America was extinguished when it began to be called the United States. You may be wondering why this is, and I will tell you why. This is important. Think about this. The place that I am at is commonly referred to as Nevada. When you add a state of to the beginning of Nevada, it changes it from something that is real into something that has an altered state. It is not the same thing as Nevada. It is a different state of Nevada. A compromised state, if you ask me. When you begin noticing these things, you will start seeing them everywhere. For example, the State of the Union address is not addressed to the Union, but the altered state of it. When the founders were inspired to write the Constitution, Noah Webster was terrified that someday the courts would screw it up. He spent over 25 years writing an entire dictionary simply to keep those meanings true to what the founders envisioned for this country. Another important thing to remember is that a lot of people make a mistake by referring to constitutional rights that they in reality do not have. The Constitution does not give us rights. When we are born, we inherit natural living rights as living beings. We are not a fictional creation of government. We are living, breathing, unique, individual, intelligent men and women. The government did not create us. We created government for the sole purpose of protecting us, of which it is failing miserably at. We created government. The Constitution is the document that was written to restrain government and to protect your rights. It was never intended to be used to grant them or take them away. So the next time you hear someone refer to their constitutional rights, please set them straight and tell them that it is their protected, guaranteed, or non-negotiable right. Because we don't have a fighting chance if the corruption has spread so far as to have changed the minds of men by deception through altered meanings of words. The only way they win is through deception, and they're not going to win because we are now wide awake. Even though it is the Fifth Amendment and not the First, in my opinion, it's the most important amendment to the Bill of Rights and the most important element of our liberty. The Fifth Amendment reads as follows: "No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia, when in actual service in time of war or public danger, nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation." The framers derived the grand juries clause and the due process clause from the Magna Carta, dating back to 1215. Scholars consider the Fifth Amendment as capable of breaking down into the following 5 distinct constitutional rights: grand juries for capital crimes, a prohibition on double jeopardy, a prohibition against required self-incrimination, a guarantee that all criminal defendants will have a fair trial, and a promise that the government will not seize private property without paying market value. Essentially, what this amendment is supposed to do is prevent the government from stealing, but they call it seizure, private property, prohibition of self-incrimination and double jeopardy, guarantee to a fair trial, and grand juries for criminal trials. The protection of life, liberty, and property includes everything rightfully under your control, including your body, papers, documents, car, land, bodily fluids, laptop, phone, everything. This also includes your rights, as they are considered your property. But this is getting off topic, so I'm going to end this one and leave you with the last word of wisdom. Take the time to learn your rights. They're the most valuable things you'll ever learn to be able to live your life. Take the time to learn your rights. They are the most valuable things you will ever learn to be able to live your life the way you want. Invest in yourself. You're worth it. Okay, so to the free book and another of some few other goodies. Tell me in the comments, how many words in thousands did Noah Webster's 1828 dictionary contain? First one to comment wins. I'll give you my email address afterwards, and we can get it all figured out so I can know where to send it. All right, thanks for watching, you guys. Have a great rest of your day, and I'm going to keep doing it. I decided I'm going to keep doing it. All right, every day, have a new video. Okay, cool. All right, peace.